Welcome to Midnight and Murder Crime Stories. Perfect for late hours, heavy eyelids, in the space between wake and sleep. Dim the lights, let the quiet take hold, and let the stories carry you. Let's go. Story 1, The Hollywood Hills Heist. On New Year's Eve, 1963, Los Angeles shimmered under a canopy of stars as the city's elite gathered at Vivian Monroe's sprawling estate nestled high in the Hollywood Hills. Known for her glamorous roles on screen and her equally dazzling parties, Vivian spared no expense for the occasion. Strings of fairy lights draped across manicured hedges illuminated the grounds, while a live jazz band played sultry melodies that floated through the crisp winter air. Guests mingled beneath crystal chandeliers inside the mansion, their laughter punctuated by the occasional pop of champagne corks. But amidst the revelry, something sinister unfolded. As midnight struck and fireworks exploded over the hills, thieves slipped into the chaos, executing one of the most audacious heists in LA history. By morning, Vivian discovered her prized collection of jewels, diamonds gifted by admirers, vintage pieces passed down through generations, and a cursed necklace steeped in legend, had vanished without a trace. Detective Jack Monroe arrived at dawn, his trench coat billowing behind him as he navigated the scene. The estate buzzed with activity. Servants cleaned up remnants of the party, while guests whispered theories about how such a theft could occur unnoticed. Security cameras installed weeks earlier had malfunctioned intermittently throughout the night, leaving gaps in coverage. Candles burned low in holders, casting flickering shadows across marble floors. But nothing seemed disturbed beyond the empty safe hidden behind a portrait of Vivian in her prime. Vivian herself appeared shaken, clutching a silk shawl tightly around her shoulders as she recounted the events. "I stepped away for just a moment," she explained, her voice trembling. "When I returned, it was gone." Among the stolen items was the infamous Blackwood necklace, rumored to bring misfortune to its owner. Its disappearance weighed heavily on Vivian, who had worn it only once during filming before locking it away permanently. Monroe began his investigation by interviewing staff and attendees, piecing together timelines and alibis. Several guests reported seeing a mysterious man lingering near the house earlier in the evening, though descriptions varied wildly. Some described him as tall and distinguished, others as short and wiry. One witness claimed he wore a chauffeur's uniform, blending seamlessly into the background until vanishing without a trace. One name kept surfacing: Victor Kane, a photographer notorious for infiltrating high-profile gatherings unnoticed. Known for capturing candid moments of celebrities in compromising positions, Kane had recently fallen out of favor with Vivian after publishing unflattering images of her at a charity gala. Could resentment have driven him to orchestrate the theft? Determined to uncover the truth, Monroe delved deeper into Kane's background. Records showed he specialized not only in photography, but also in gathering intelligence, using his camera as both tool and disguise. Collaborating with Henry Aldridge, a skilled locksmith turned thief, Kane devised a plan to exploit vulnerabilities in Vivian's security system. Using insider knowledge gained from previous assignments, they identified weak points in the estate's defenses and timed their entry to coincide with the party's peak commotion. The duo executed the heist with surgical precision. Disabling alarms and cameras, they slipped inside undetected, navigating dimly lit corridors toward the study where the safe was hidden. Once inside, Aldridge cracked the combination within minutes, stuffing the jewels into a hidden compartment in Kane's camera case. They exited the same way they entered, disappearing into the crowd before anyone noticed anything amiss. Monroe uncovered this collaboration during a raid on Kane's studio, finding stacks of incriminating photographs documenting preparations for the heist. Among them were blueprints of Vivian's estate annotated with notes about guard rotations and blind spots. Confronted with overwhelming evidence, Kane confessed, but not to murder. He admitted setting the fire as an act of vengeance, intending only to destroy property and humiliate Evelyn publicly. "I wanted her to lose everything," Lane said, tears streaming down her face. "But I never meant for anyone to die." Though Kane faced charges for arson and manslaughter, Klein couldn't shake the feeling that other forces were at play: the complexity of Evelyn's life, her tangled relationships, questionable dealings, and enigmatic personality, suggested that her death might have been orchestrated by someone else entirely. Was Kane merely a pawn in a larger game? Or did his actions align too perfectly with the goals of those seeking to eliminate Evelyn permanently? To honor Evelyn's memory, Klein ensured her story was documented accurately, highlighting both her achievements and controversies. To this day, visitors to Malibu speak of seeing ghostly figures wandering the ruins of her estate, their forms flickering like candlelight against the backdrop of the Pacific Ocean. Whether these apparitions are remnants of Evelyn's spirit or products of imagination remains unclear, but they serve as a haunting reminder of the price paid for ambition and betrayal. Unbeknownst to Kane and Aldridge, one of the stolen pieces, the cursed Blackwood necklace, carried a dark legacy. Legends surrounding the artifact dated back centuries, describing it as a harbinger of doom for anyone who possessed it. Within weeks of the theft, both men experienced bizarre misfortunes. Kane suffered a debilitating accident that left him unable to work, while Aldridge lost everything in a gambling spree fueled by paranoia. Desperate to rid themselves of the curse, they attempted to sell the necklace on the black market. However, potential buyers balked upon hearing its history, refusing to touch it. Cornered and desperate, Kane approached Detective Finch, offering information about the heist in exchange for protection. Finch agreed, using the opportunity to recover the stolen jewels and arrest both men. Though justice was served, the necklace remained unsold, eventually donated to a museum where it resides today under heavy guard. Visitors often report feeling uneasy in its presence, citing chills and inexplicable dread. Whether these sensations stem from superstition or something more sinister is anyone's guess, but the tale of the Hollywood Hills heist endures as a cautionary reminder of greed's consequences. Story 2: The Echo Park Enigma. In the spring of 1966, Echo Park Lake became the center of a chilling mystery when Eleanor Whitmore, a young mother and aspiring actress, vanished without a trace during her morning jog. Known for its serene waters and picturesque bridges, the lake was a beloved retreat for locals seeking solace from the city's hustle and bustle. But that tranquility shattered as residents grappled with fear, their once safe haven now tainted by uncertainty. Eleanor's absence sent shockwaves through the tight-knit neighborhood, where everyone knew her as kind-hearted and devoted to her family. Neighbors described her as ambitious but grounded, balancing dreams of stardom with the responsibilities of raising her 3-year-old son. Her husband, Charles Whitmore, claimed she left home early that morning, headphones in place and a water bottle tucked under her arm, heading toward her usual route along the lake. Detective Sarah Klein, renowned for her discretion and tenacity, took charge of the investigation. She began by retracing Eleanor's final steps, reviewing security footage from nearby businesses. Grainy images showed her running past the lake at dawn, her strides steady and unhurried. Moments later, the camera captured a shadowy figure following her path, their features obscured by a hoodie and sunglasses. Though indistinct, the footage hinted at foul play. One clue stood out: a locket belonging to Eleanor, found floating near the lake's shore. Inside was a photograph of her holding her newborn baby, a cherished keepsake that suggested she hadn't planned to leave voluntarily. The discovery added urgency to the investigation, prompting Klein to dig deeper into Eleanor's personal life. Friends revealed tensions in her marriage, citing arguments over finances and career aspirations. Eleanor had recently auditioned for a major film role, sparking resentment from Charles, who disapproved of her pursuing acting full-time. One acquaintance mentioned seeing her meet secretly with a man at a cafe near the lake, describing him as older and authoritative. Further investigation revealed the man to be Richard Greaves, a producer with ties to Hollywood's seedy underbelly. Known for exploiting vulnerable actresses, Greaves promised Eleanor a breakthrough role in exchange for favors. Text messages recovered from her phone hinted at coercion, with Greaves threatening to sabotage her career if she resisted. As Klein pieced together fragments of Eleanor's life, she uncovered a complex web of ambition, manipulation, and betrayal. Greaves emerged as a central figure, his polished exterior masking ruthless tactics. Records showed he had preyed on countless women, using his influence to lure them into compromising situations before discarding them when they no longer served his purposes. Klein also interviewed Eleanor's inner circle, learning that she had confided in friends about feeling trapped in her marriage. "Charles doesn't understand my dreams," she reportedly said. "He thinks I should just stay home and be content." Letters written in her journal echoed this sentiment, expressing frustration with societal expectations and longing for freedom. Meanwhile, divers searching the lake made a grim discovery. Eleanor's body, weighted down with stones and bound with rope. Forensic analysis confirmed she had drowned, likely after being incapacitated with chloroform. The method suggested premeditation, implicating someone familiar with her routine. Confronted with mounting evidence, Greaves attempted to shift blame onto Charles, claiming the husband orchestrated the murder to silence Eleanor permanently. However, phone records placed Greaves near the lake on the morning of her disappearance, contradicting his alibi. Under pressure, he confessed to luring Eleanor to the park under false pretenses, intending to intimidate her into compliance. When she resisted, panic set in, leading to tragedy. Though Greaves faced trial, the case highlighted systemic issues within the entertainment industry, exposing predatory practices that preyed on ambition and vulnerability. For Detective Klein, solving the Echo Park enigma reinforced the importance of listening to survivors' voices, ensuring justice for those silenced too soon. The verdict brought some measure of closure to the community, but echoes of the tragedy lingered. Visitors to the lake reported seeing ripples forming mysteriously in still waters, as if Eleanor's spirit continued to seek peace. Others claimed to hear faint whispers carried by the breeze, reminders of a life cut tragically short. To honor Eleanor's memory, local artists created a mural overlooking the lake, depicting her smiling face surrounded by blooming flowers. It served as both a tribute and a warning, a reminder that even amidst beauty, darkness can lurk beneath the surface. Story 3, The Silver Lake Strangler. In the late summer of 1964, fear gripped the bohemian enclave of Silver Lake as a string of brutal murders left residents wary of venturing out after dark. 4 women, all drifters or street performers, were found strangled in their homes, their bodies arranged in eerily similar poses. Each crime bore chilling similarities: wounds inflicted with a serrated blade, cryptic symbols carved into the skin, and no apparent motive. Detective Jack Monroe, a grizzled veteran of the LAPD with a penchant for late-night coffee and smoky jazz bars, was assigned to the case. Known for his sharp instincts and unorthodox methods, Monroe approached the investigation with a mix of skepticism and determination. He began by canvassing the neighborhood, interviewing artists, musicians, and free spirits who called Silver Lake home. Everyone seemed to know something, but nobody wanted to talk. The first victim, Claire Harper, was an aspiring painter known for her avant-garde style and free-spirited personality. Her body was discovered in her studio apartment, surrounded by unfinished canvases smeared with blood. The second victim, Margaret Lane, worked as a waitress at a popular diner frequented by locals. She was killed in her rented room above the establishment, her uniform neatly folded beside her bed. The third and fourth victims, sisters Diane and Susan Blackwood, were found together in their shared bungalow, their hands clasped as if in prayer. As Monroe pieced together fragments of their lives, he noticed a pattern. All 4 women had attended a poetry reading at a local cafe weeks before their deaths. Witnesses recalled seeing a shadowy figure seated near them during the event, his face partially obscured by a wide-brimmed hat. Descriptions varied. He was tall yet slight, charming yet aloof, but one detail remained consistent. He carried a leather-bound notebook, jotting down notes as if studying the crowd. Monroe focused his investigation on identifying the mysterious figure from the cafe. Surveillance footage revealed little, as the venue lacked security cameras, but staff remembered serving a customer matching the description. "He ordered coffee and sat alone," the barista recalled, "but I noticed him watching the women closely, like he was memorizing their faces." Further digging led Monroe to Victor Kane, a reclusive writer whose published works often explored themes of obsession and control. Kane lived in a secluded cabin overlooking the city, his days spent crafting macabre tales inspired by real-life tragedies. Neighbors described him as polite but distant, rarely interacting with others beyond brief exchanges at the market. During a search of Kane's property, police uncovered disturbing evidence linking him to the murders. Among his belongings were sketches of the victims, annotated with chilling observations about their habits and vulnerabilities. A locked drawer contained photographs of the crime scenes, taken from angles only the perpetrator could have accessed. Most damning was a journal entry dated the night of the final murder, detailing plans to complete the cycle by targeting a fifth woman. Kane's writings revealed a twisted philosophy. He viewed his victims as muses, believing their deaths added depth to his work. Each death immortalizes them in ways they never imagined, he wrote. Their fragility becomes art. Though outwardly calm, Kane's words betrayed a mind consumed by delusions of grandeur. Armed with overwhelming evidence, Monroe arrested Kane, who confessed without hesitation. They were muses, he explained, his voice devoid of remorse. Each death added depth to my work, capturing the fragility of life through art. According to Kane, the rituals served as tributes to his victims, immortalizing them in ways he believed transcended mortality. Though justice was served, the case left lasting scars on the community. For Detective Monroe, solving the Silver Lake Strangler murders underscored the thin line between genius and madness, reminding him that even the most beautiful creations can stem from darkness. To this day, visitors to Silver Lake speak of hearing faint whispers echoing through its streets, as if the spirits of the victims linger, seeking solace or vengeance. Artists in the area began creating murals dedicated to the victims, transforming walls into vibrant memorials. One mural depicted the four women surrounded by blooming flowers, symbolizing resilience in the face of tragedy. Another featured the cryptic symbols carved into their skin, rearranged into patterns resembling wings, a metaphorical release from suffering. Despite these efforts, rumors persisted about Kane's influence. Some claimed his writings inspired copycat crimes across the country, spreading like wildfire despite attempts to suppress them. Others whispered that his artistic vision had awakened something ancient and malevolent, lurking in the shadows of Silver Lake's alleys. To honor the victims, Monroe ensured their stories were documented accurately, highlighting both their achievements and vulnerabilities. Their names became synonymous with strength and creativity, inspiring future generations to pursue their passions fearlessly, even in the face of danger. Story 4. The Griffith Park Phantom. Griffith Park, sprawling across acres of rugged terrain, has long been a sanctuary for hikers, picnickers, and stargazers drawn to its untamed beauty. But in the autumn of 1965, it became synonymous with terror when a series of disappearances plagued its winding trails. 3 men, each visiting separately, vanished without explanation, leaving behind only scattered belongings and unanswered questions. Detective Harold Finch, tasked with unraveling the mystery, began by mapping the victims' routes. All had entered the park alone, lured by its natural splendor and solitude. Search parties combed the wilderness, discovering makeshift campsites and abandoned gear, but no signs of struggle or abduction. It was as if the men had stepped off the trail and vanished into thin air. Locals whispered of a phantom haunting the park, a spectral figure said to lure wanderers into the woods never to return. Some claimed to see glowing eyes watching from the shadows, while others reported hearing disembodied laughter echoing through the trees. Skeptical yet intrigued, Finch decided to investigate these legends, hoping to separate fact from fiction. One witness, a park ranger named Lila Monroe, described encountering a shadowy figure near an ancient stone altar concealed beneath dense foliage. It felt like I wasn't alone, she recalled. The air was thick, almost suffocating. And then I heard it, a low hum, like chanting. Finch enlisted Lila's help to explore deeper into areas rarely visited by tourists, guided by rumors of hidden caves and forgotten ruins. Along the way, they encountered strange phenomena, compasses spinning wildly, equipment malfunctioning inexplicably, and faint whispers carried by the wind. Their journey led them closer to uncovering the truth, but also deeper into danger. As Finch and Lila ventured further into the park's untamed landscapes, they stumbled upon the ancient stone altar Lila had described. Etched with symbols resembling those mentioned in local legends, the structure bore traces of recent activity: charred wood, discarded matches, and scraps of fabric matching items worn by the victims. Finch theorized that someone was using the site for rituals, possibly targeting solitary travelers as offerings to an unknown entity. Further investigation revealed connections to a secretive group operating under the guise of environmental activism. Dubbed the Order of the Wild, members worshiped nature in its rawest form, believing human interference disrupted sacred balance. Leaders preached purification through sacrifice, urging followers to eliminate those deemed unworthy of the land's bounty. Key members of the group included Elias Grayson, a charismatic leader known for his poetic sermons about primal instincts and self-sacrifice. Grayson's teachings attracted disillusioned individuals seeking meaning in a rapidly changing world. However, his rhetoric grew increasingly radical, advocating violence as a means of restoring equilibrium. Finch uncovered journals documenting plans to purge intruders, along with maps marking locations of future attacks. One entry described the victims as invaders, their presence desecrating the park's sanctity. Another detailed methods for incapacitating targets before leading them to the altar, where rituals would seal their fate. Despite mounting evidence, Grayson remained elusive, slipping through surveillance nets like smoke. Finch realized that capturing him would require infiltrating the group itself, a risky endeavor that could cost lives. Determined to bring Grayson to justice, Finch coordinated a raid on the group's headquarters, a remote cabin nestled in the park's northern reaches. Inside, police uncovered chilling artifacts, jars containing preserved organs, notebooks filled with twisted philosophies, and photographs documenting the murders. Key members were arrested, including Grayson, who confessed responsibility for the disappearances. Grayson argued his actions were justified, viewing himself as a guardian protecting the park from exploitation. "Humans are the true invaders," he declared during interrogation. "I merely restored equilibrium." Though convicted, his words resonated with some, sparking debates about humanity's relationship with nature. For Finch, solving the Griffith Park Phantom case served as a sobering reminder of how far individuals will go to impose their beliefs on others. To this day, hikers report feeling watched as they traverse the park's winding paths, their footsteps accompanied by whispers of the past. Others claim to see ghostly figures lingering near the stone altar, as if the spirits of the victims remain trapped within its stones. In memory of those lost, local conservationists erected a small memorial near the entrance to the park. A plaque reads, "To honor the lives taken too soon, may we tread lightly and respect the wild." Visitors leave flowers and candles, creating a space of reflection amidst the park's rugged beauty. Though justice was served, the legend of the Griffith Park Phantom endures, a testament to the enduring allure of mystery and the fragile boundary between reverence and obsession. Story 5. The Brentwood Betrayal. Brentwood, synonymous with wealth and privilege, became the epicenter of scandal in 1967 when socialite Margaret Alden was found dead in her opulent mansion. Her body, discovered in the master bedroom, bore no visible wounds, yet toxicology reports revealed lethal doses of sleeping pills and alcohol. Initial reports suggested suicide, but Detective James Harper wasn't convinced. Something about the scene felt staged. The carefully arranged pillows, the open window letting in a breeze, the faint scent of perfume lingering in the air. Harper began by interviewing Margaret's inner circle, uncovering a web of deceit and betrayal. Friends described her as vivacious yet guarded, unwilling to discuss her strained marriage to Charles Whitmore, a prominent attorney. Rumors swirled about infidelity, financial disputes, and simmering resentment, painting a picture of a union on the brink of collapse. One clue stood out: a torn note found in the trash, bearing fragments of a message addressed to Margaret. "Meet me tonight. Don't tell anyone." Though incomplete, it hinted at a clandestine rendezvous. Harper traced the handwriting to Eleanor Monroe, a close friend who admitted to arranging a secret meeting between Margaret and a private investigator named Victor Kane. According to Eleanor, Margaret hired Kane to gather evidence of Charles's alleged affair with a younger colleague. Kane delivered damning photos and recordings, fueling Margaret's resolve to file for divorce. However, Charles learned of her plans and confronted her the night of her death, demanding she destroy the evidence. Witnesses reported hearing raised voices emanating from the mansion shortly before Margaret's passing. Forensic analysis revealed prints on the pill bottle matching both Margaret and Charles, complicating the timeline of events. While Margaret may have ingested the pills herself, Traces of sedatives in her system suggested tampering. Harper theorized Charles drugged her to render her unconscious before administering the fatal dose, framing her death as self-inflicted despair. As Harper dug deeper, he uncovered layers of secrets hidden beneath the couple's polished facade. Margaret's journal revealed her growing dissatisfaction with Charles's controlling behavior and jealousy over her career aspirations. "He wants me to be a trophy wife," she wrote, "but I refuse to live in his shadow." Meanwhile, Charles's alibi crumbled under scrutiny. Phone records placed him near the mansion during the critical hours, contradicting his claim of being asleep. Neighbors recalled seeing lights flickering in the house late at night, accompanied by muffled cries that stopped abruptly. Kane provided additional insight, describing a heated exchange between Margaret and Charles during their final confrontation. "She told him she wouldn't back down," Kane recounted. "That's when he snapped." Though reluctant to testify, Kane agreed to cooperate after receiving assurances of protection. Further investigation revealed Charles had hired a private cleaning service to sanitize the crime scene immediately after Margaret's death. Cleaning staff reported finding broken glass and overturned furniture, signs of a struggle deliberately concealed. When questioned, Charles claimed the mess resulted from a burglary attempt, but no stolen items were reported missing. Faced with mounting evidence, Charles confessed, but not entirely. He admitted arguing with Margaret, but denied harming her directly, claiming she overdosed accidentally during their altercation. "She was distraught," he pleaded. "I tried to stop her, but it was too late." Though acquitted of murder, his reputation crumbled under public scrutiny, forcing him to flee Brentwood in disgrace. For Harper, solving the Brentwood betrayal highlighted the fragility of relationships built on lies and manipulation. To this day, visitors to the mansion report hearing muffled cries drifting through its halls, as if Margaret's spirit lingers, yearning for closure. The case also sparked discussions about domestic abuse and the pressures faced by women in affluent circles. Margaret's death became a rallying point for advocates pushing for greater awareness and support for victims trapped in toxic marriages. A foundation established in her name funds shelters and counseling services for survivors, ensuring her legacy extends beyond tragedy. Echoes of the Brentwood betrayal linger in Brentwood's quiet streets, where grand estates hide untold stories behind closed doors. Some say they still see Margaret wandering the grounds of her former home, her presence a haunting reminder of the cost of silence and the power of truth. Story 6. The Santa Monica Siren. In the summer of 1968, Santa Monica Pier became the stage for a chilling enigma that left residents wary of venturing near the water after dark. A series of drownings occurred within weeks of each other, all involving young women drawn inexplicably toward the ocean. Witnesses claimed to hear a haunting melody moments before the incidents, as if luring the victims to their doom. Detective Sarah Klein, renowned for her discretion and tenacity, was assigned to investigate the case. Her first task was to interview survivors pulled from the water unconscious. None could recall what drove them to jump, describing only a hypnotic tune that seemed to emanate from the waves. Locals spoke of legends surrounding a siren said to inhabit the pier's depths, enchanting sailors and swimmers alike. One survivor, Isabel Monroe, provided a particularly vivid account. "It wasn't just music," she whispered, her voice trembling. "It was alive. It called to me, promised me something I couldn't resist." Isabel, a gifted musician performing nightly at a nearby club, had been walking along the pier when the melody overtook her senses. She remembered stepping onto the edge, the world fading into silence, except for the song, before blacking out. Klein began her investigation by retracing Isabel's steps, uncovering patterns linking the victims. All were young women with ties to the arts, singers, dancers, painters, drawn to the pier's vibrant energy. Each disappearance coincided with performances by Isabel, whose ethereal voice and melancholic compositions captivated audiences with songs steeped in folklore and tragedy. Records revealed Isabel had lost her sister to drowning years earlier, blaming negligent lifeguards for failing to save her. Since then, she dedicated her art to honoring the deceased, crafting melodies inspired by tales of sirens and shipwrecks. Some accused her of using sound frequencies capable of inducing trance-like states, manipulating listeners' perceptions. As Klein delved deeper into Isabel's life, She uncovered a complex web of grief, ambition, and obsession. Friends described her as passionate yet haunted, unwilling to discuss her sister's death beyond vague references to unfinished business. Letters written in her journal echoed this sentiment, expressing frustration with societal expectations and longing for freedom. Meanwhile, divers searching the ocean floor made a grim discovery. Remnants of the victim's belongings scattered across the seabed, including jewelry, scarves, and fragments of fabric matching items worn during performances. Forensic analysis confirmed traces of sedatives in the victim's systems, suggesting tampering prior to their deaths. Confronted with suspicions, Isabel denied involvement, but admitted experimenting with acoustics to evoke emotional responses. "My music is meant to heal, not harm," she insisted. Yet forensic analysis linked audio recordings of her performances to frequencies detected near the pier during the drownings. Further investigation revealed Isabel had collaborated with Victor Kane, a reclusive sound engineer known for his expertise in psychoacoustics. Together, they developed techniques to manipulate brainwave patterns, creating immersive experiences designed to mimic altered states of consciousness. While initially intended for therapeutic purposes, the technology took on a darker purpose when Isabel began using it to channel her grief into her performances. Kane confessed to assisting Isabel, claiming he believed her actions stemmed from unresolved trauma rather than malice. She wanted to feel connected again, he explained, to bring her sister back, even if only in spirit. Though cleared of wrongdoing, Isabel withdrew from public life, retreating to a secluded beach house where she continued composing in solitude. For Klein, the case underscored the power of art to transcend boundaries, for better or worse. To this day, visitors to Santa Monica Pier report hearing echoes of Isabel's melodies carried by the tide, blending seamlessly with the crash of waves. The tragedy also sparked discussions about the ethical implications of emerging technologies, particularly those capable of influencing human behavior. Experts warned of the dangers posed by unchecked experimentation, urging greater oversight and accountability. In memory of the victims, local artists created a mural overlooking the pier, depicting them surrounded by blooming flowers and rising suns, a symbol of hope amidst despair. A plaque reads, "To honor those taken too soon, may we listen with open hearts and protect one another from unseen dangers." Echoes of the Santa Monica siren linger in the salty breeze, a haunting reminder of the fine line between beauty and peril. Some say they still see Isabel wandering the pier at night, her voice blending with the ocean's rhythm, as if seeking redemption or release. Story 7, The Malibu Mystery. In the summer of 1967, the vibrant nightlife of Los Angeles' Sunset Strip was overshadowed by tragedy when flames engulfed the sprawling Malibu estate of socialite Evelyn Blackwood. Known for her extravagant parties and philanthropic endeavors, Evelyn had inherited her family's fortune at a young age and used it to fund artistic ventures, charitable causes, and political campaigns. Yet beneath her polished exterior lay whispers of scandal, rumors of affairs, financial mismanagement, and bitter rivalries with those who envied her success. The fire broke out on a sweltering August night, reducing the mansion to ash within hours. Firefighters arrived too late to save the structure, or its owner, whose charred remains were discovered in the ruins. Initial reports suggested an electrical malfunction sparked the blaze, but Detective Sarah Klein wasn't convinced. Something about the scene felt off, the way the fire seemed concentrated in specific areas, the absence of smoke alarms, the faint smell of gasoline lingering in the air. Evelyn's death sent shockwaves through LA's high society, leaving behind a tangled web of questions. Friends described her as generous yet guarded, unwilling to share details of her personal life beyond vague references to troubled times. Her estranged husband, Charles Whitmore, claimed they had reconciled recently, though neighbors reported heated arguments echoing through the halls of the estate. Servants recalled seeing strangers arriving late at night, their faces obscured by hats and sunglasses, leaving hastily before dawn. One clue stood out, a letter found in Evelyn's safe, addressed to her attorney. In it, she expressed fears for her safety, mentioning threats made by someone close to her. "They want me gone," she wrote, "and I don't know who to trust." The letter offered no names, but hinted at a conspiracy involving powerful figures determined to silence her. Klein delved deeper into Evelyn's past, uncovering a web of deceit that stretched back decades. Records showed she had invested heavily in real estate development projects across Southern California, many of which faced opposition from environmental activists and local residents. Some accused her of using unethical tactics to secure land, including bribes, intimidation, and even arson. Could someone she wronged have sought revenge? Her search led her to a group of disgruntled investors who had lost millions due to Evelyn's failed ventures. Among them was Richard Alden, a ruthless developer known for his cutthroat business practices. Alden admitted to clashing with Evelyn over a lucrative beachfront property deal, but denied any involvement in her death. "She burned bridges everywhere she went," he sneered. "You'll find plenty of suspects without looking at me." Meanwhile, Klein interviewed Evelyn's staff, learning that she had received numerous anonymous letters in the months leading up to her death. Written in block letters and unsigned, the messages warned her to abandon certain projects or face consequences. One envelope contained a single matchstick, its tip scorched as if lit and extinguished deliberately. Further investigation revealed that Evelyn had hired a private investigator to gather evidence of corruption within her inner circle. The investigator, Victor Kane, delivered a dossier detailing illegal activities linked to several prominent figures, including Alden and Whitmore. However, Kane disappeared shortly after submitting the report, leaving behind only fragments of his findings. With mounting evidence pointing to a conspiracy, Klein orchestrated a raid targeting key suspects, including Alden and Whitmore. Inside Alden's office, police uncovered blueprints of Evelyn's estate, annotated with notes about weak points in its security system. Whitmore's alibi crumbled when phone records placed him near the mansion on the night of the fire. Under interrogation, Alden confessed to orchestrating the arson, but claimed he hadn't intended for anyone to die. "I just wanted to scare her," he said, tears streaming down his face. "Make her back off the project. But when I heard she was still inside," his voice trailed off, unable to finish the sentence. Whitmore, however, remained defiant, denying any involvement despite damning evidence linking him to the crime. Prosecutors argued that his motive stemmed from jealousy and greed, as Evelyn had planned to cut him out of her will entirely. Though justice was served, the case left lingering questions about how deeply corruption ran within LA's glittering facade. For Detective Klein, solving the Malibu mystery served as a sobering reminder that even amidst the bright lights of Hollywood, darkness often lurked just out of sight. To honor Evelyn's memory, Klein ensured her story was documented accurately, highlighting both her achievements and controversies. To this day, visitors to Malibu speak of seeing ghostly figures wandering the ruins of her estate, their forms flickering like candlelight against the backdrop of the Pacific Ocean. Whether these apparitions are remnants of Evelyn's spirit or products of imagination remains unclear, but they serve as a haunting reminder of the price paid for ambition and betrayal. Story 8. The Venice Beach Murders. In January 1966, Los Angeles awoke to shocking headlines. 4 drifters or street performers had been found dead along Venice Beach's iconic boardwalk, their bodies bearing signs of brutal violence. Each crime bore eerie similarities: wounds inflicted with a serrated blade, cryptic symbols carved into the skin, and no apparent motive. The victims, all part of the area's vibrant counterculture movement, had been lured into the city's glitz and promise of freedom, only to meet tragic ends under mysterious circumstances. Detective Harold Finch, tasked with investigating the murders, navigated the labyrinthine world of Venice's underground scene, interviewing artists, activists, and addicts in search of answers. His first lead came from a local poet named Isabel Monroe, who claimed to have witnessed a shadowy figure stalking the victims days before their deaths. "He moves like smoke," she whispered, her eyes wide with fear. "You won't see him coming." Finch also discovered that all 4 victims had ties to a secretive commune operating out of an abandoned warehouse near the canals. Dubbed the Twilight Collective, the group espoused radical ideologies centered around freedom and rebellion, but maintained strict secrecy about their activities. Rumors swirled about rituals conducted under moonlight, involving bloodletting and chants invoking ancient deities. One victim, Claire Harper, was an aspiring painter known for her avant-garde style and free-spirited personality. Her body was discovered in her studio apartment, surrounded by unfinished canvases smeared with blood. The second victim, Margaret Lane, worked as a waitress at a popular diner frequented by locals. She was killed in her rented room above the establishment, her uniform neatly folded beside her bed. The third and fourth victims, sisters Diane and Susan Blackwood, were found together in their shared bungalow, their hands clasped as if in prayer. As Finch pieced together fragments of their lives, he noticed a pattern. All four women had attended a poetry reading at a local cafe weeks before their deaths. Witnesses recalled seeing a shadowy figure seated near them during the event, his face partially obscured by a wide-brimmed hat. Descriptions varied. He was tall, yet slight, charming, yet aloof. But one detail remained consistent. He carried a leather-bound notebook, jotting down notes as if studying the crowd. Harper infiltrated the commune, posing as a writer researching alternative lifestyles. Inside, he observed members engaging in strange ceremonies led by a charismatic leader named Elias Grayson. Grayson preached about transcending societal norms and embracing primal instincts, encouraging followers to shed inhibitions through acts of self-sacrifice. Though outwardly peaceful, there was an undercurrent of menace, a sense that loyalty to the collective superseded morality. During one ritual, Harper noticed symbols matching those carved into the victims' bodies, etched onto ceremonial daggers used during the ceremony. Confronting Grayson afterwards, he demanded explanations. Grayson smiled serenely, dismissing accusations as misunderstandings. "We seek enlightenment, not destruction," he insisted. "Those who died chose their fate willingly." Despite his denials, Harper gathered enough evidence to raid the warehouse. Inside, police uncovered gruesome artifacts, jars containing preserved organs, notebooks filled with twisted philosophies, and photographs documenting the murders. Grayson and several key members were arrested, though many escaped into the night, disappearing without a trace. Though the cult disbanded following the arrests, whispers of their influence persisted. Former members spoke of prophecies predicting a reckoning, a cleansing of society's corruption through chaos and bloodshed. Some believe Grayson's teachings had inspired copycat crimes across the country, spreading like wildfire despite efforts to contain them. For Harper, solving the Venice Beach murders marked a turning point in his career. It exposed him to the darker side of humanity, challenging his faith in redemption and justice. To this day, visitors to Venice Beach report seeing ghostly figures wandering the boardwalk at dusk, their silhouettes illuminated by fading sunlight. Whether these visions are echoes of the past or warnings of future horrors remains unknown, but they serve as a chilling testament to the enduring power of belief, even in its most destructive forms. Story 9. The Sunset Strip Strangler. In the summer of 1965, the vibrant nightlife of Los Angeles' Sunset Strip became shrouded in fear when three young women were found dead within weeks of each other. Their bodies, discovered in alleys behind jazz clubs, drive-in theaters, and dimly lit motels, bore signs of strangulation, yet no evidence pointed to a clear suspect. The victims, all aspiring actresses or models, had been lured into the city's glitz and promise of fame, only to meet tragic ends under mysterious circumstances. Detective Jack Monroe, a grizzled veteran of the LAPD with a penchant for late-night coffee and smoky jazz bars, was assigned to the case. Known for his sharp instincts and unorthodox methods, Monroe approached the investigation with a mix of skepticism and determination. He began by canvassing the strip, interviewing bartenders, club owners, and regular patrons who frequented the scene. Everyone seemed to know something, but nobody wanted to talk. The first victim, Diane Harper, had last been seen leaving the Whiskey A Go-Go with an unidentified man wearing a fedora. Witnesses described him as charming but elusive, disappearing into the crowd moments after being spotted. The second victim, Laura Bennett, vanished after attending a casting call at a seedy talent agency rumored to exploit young women desperate for stardom. Her body was found near the Hollywood Reservoir, her purse missing, but her ID intact. The third victim, Susan Blake, left behind cryptic diary entries hinting at a man in the shadows watching her every move. As Monroe pieced together fragments of their lives, he noticed a pattern. All three women had connections to a photographer named Victor Kane. Kane, a fixture on the Sunset Strip, specialized in candid shots of celebrities and hopeful starlets. His work appeared in glossy magazines, capturing the essence of LA's hedonistic allure. But beneath his polished exterior lay rumors of darker dealings. Stories of exploitation, coercion, and blackmail whispered among those who crossed his path. Monroe tracked down Kane at his studio, a converted warehouse cluttered with cameras, tripods, and stacks of black and white prints. Kane greeted the detective with a disarming smile, offering him a glass of whiskey while casually dismissing any involvement in the murders. "I'm just a guy trying to make a living," he said, gesturing towards walls adorned with images of smiling faces frozen in time. Yet Monroe couldn't ignore the unease creeping up his spine as Kane spoke, his tone too smooth, his alibis too rehearsed. Further digging revealed that Kane wasn't just a photographer, he was a predator preying on vulnerable women seeking fame. Many of his subjects reported feeling pressured into compromising situations, exchanging favors for exposure or promises of career advancement. Some claimed Kane had threatened to ruin their reputations if they refused his advances. Though none of these allegations could be proven, they painted a chilling portrait of a man capable of manipulation, and perhaps worse. Monroe also discovered that Kane had ties to a shadowy network of underground clubs catering to LA's elite. These venues operated under the radar, hosting private parties where power players indulged in vices far removed from public scrutiny. One such establishment, known simply as the Velvet Room, emerged as a potential link between the victims. All three women had attended events there shortly before their deaths, raising suspicions about whether someone within its secretive circle might have played a role. To gather more information, Monroe enlisted the help of a confidential informant named Lila Monroe, no relation, a former showgirl turned cocktail waitress who worked at several of the Strip's most notorious haunts. Lila provided valuable insights into the inner workings of the Velvet Room, describing it as a den of decadence where secrets were bought, sold, and buried. She mentioned seeing Kane frequently accompanied by a wealthy businessman named Richard Greaves, whose name surfaced repeatedly in connection with the victims. With mounting evidence pointing to Kane and Greaves, Monroe orchestrated a sting operation targeting the Velvet Room. Posing as a journalist researching exposés on LA's nightlife, he infiltrated one of the club's exclusive gatherings. Inside, he observed Kane mingling with guests, his camera slung casually over one shoulder as he charmed his way through the crowd. Greaves loomed nearby, his demeanor cold and calculating, exchanging hushed words with individuals whose faces rarely appeared in newspapers. During the raid that followed, police uncovered a trove of incriminating materials hidden in a secret room beneath the club. Among them were photographs of the victims taken shortly before their deaths, along with notes detailing their movements and vulnerabilities. Kane attempted to flee, but was apprehended outside, clutching a roll of film containing images Monroe recognized immediately. It depicted Susan Blake moments before she disappeared, her expression haunted as if aware of what awaited her. Under interrogation, Kane confessed to photographing the women but denied responsibility for their murders, claiming he'd been hired by Greaves to document their interactions without their knowledge. Greaves, arrested simultaneously at his Beverly Hills estate, maintained his innocence despite damning evidence linking him to the victims. According to prosecutors, he had orchestrated the killings to silence potential witnesses, threatening to expose his illegal activities. Though both men faced trial, the case left lingering questions about how deeply corruption ran within LA's glittering facade. For Detective Monroe, solving the Sunset Strip strangler murders served as a sobering reminder that even amidst the bright lights of Hollywood, darkness often lurked just out of sight. To honor the victims, Monroe ensured their stories were documented accurately, highlighting both their dreams and vulnerabilities. To this day, visitors to the Sunset Strip speak of hearing faint whispers carried by the wind, echoes of a restless spirit yearning for peace, or perhaps daring others to embrace their own freedom. Story 10. The Bel Air Blackmail. Bel Air, synonymous with luxury and exclusivity, became the epicenter of scandal in 1968 when a series of blackmail letters targeted some of its wealthiest residents. Written in elegant script and delivered anonymously, the notes threatened to expose intimate secrets unless hefty sums were paid. Victims included politicians, actors, and business magnates, all bound by fear of public humiliation. Detective Sarah Klein, renowned for her discretion and tenacity, was called in to investigate. Her first task was to identify patterns among the targets. All had attended a charity gala hosted by socialite Eleanor Whitmore months earlier, raising suspicions that someone close to the event might be responsible. Surveillance footage revealed nothing conclusive, but Klein noticed a recurring figure, a man dressed as a waiter, lingering near private conversations and slipping away unnoticed. Klein tracked the man to a modest apartment in West Hollywood, where she discovered stacks of incriminating documents and recording devices. The culprit, Richard Greaves, was a disgraced journalist seeking revenge against those he deemed hypocritical. Using his skills in espionage, he gathered dirt on LA's elite, exploiting their vulnerabilities for financial gain. Greaves confessed but argued his actions were justified, claiming he sought to expose corruption masked by privilege. "They think they're untouchable," he spat, "but everyone has skeletons in their closet." Though arrested, his revelations sparked debates about privacy, accountability, and the moral obligations of the press. As Klein delved deeper into Greaves's operation, she uncovered a sophisticated network of informants, wiretaps, and covert surveillance tactics. Greaves had spent years cultivating sources within Bel Air's inner circles, bribing servants, hacking phones, and infiltrating private gatherings to gather compromising material. His methods were ruthless yet effective, leaving victims with little choice but to comply or face ruin. One victim, Charles Alden, a prominent real estate developer, received a letter threatening to reveal his involvement in illegal land deals. Another, Margaret Lane, an actress turned philanthropist, was blackmailed over a decades-old affair that could destroy her marriage and career. Each target faced a unique dilemma, forced to weigh the cost of exposure against their willingness to pay for silence. Klein also discovered that Greaves had ties to Victor Kane, a reclusive photographer known for capturing candid moments of celebrities in compromising positions. Together, they had compiled dossiers on dozens of individuals, creating a treasure trove of leverage that ensured their dominance over Bel Air's elite. When Kane's identity was revealed, several victims admitted to paying him for exclusive photos, transactions that unwittingly fueled Greaves's scheme. Despite the mounting evidence, Greaves remained defiant during interrogation. "I'm not the villain here," he insisted. "I'm just holding up a mirror so they can see themselves for who they really are." His words resonated with some, sparking discussions about systemic inequality and the lengths people would go to protect their reputations. Though justice was served, the case left lasting scars on the community. For Detective Klein, solving the Bel Air blackmail highlighted the delicate balance between truth and consequence, reminding her that even the most pristine lives harbor shadows. To honor the victims, she ensured their stories were documented accurately, highlighting both their achievements and controversies. The phrase Bel Air secrets became a cultural touchstone, evoking intrigue and unease. Some claimed the blackmail letters continued circulating long after Greaves's arrest, suggesting others had taken up his mantle. Others whispered of hidden vaults containing unreleased material, waiting to resurface at the right moment. To this day, visitors to Bel Air report hearing faint whispers drifting through its manicured gardens, as if the spirits of those betrayed refused to rest. Others claim to see shadowy figures lingering near grand estates, watching silently from behind wrought iron gates. Whether these visions stem from imagination or something more sinister remains unclear, but they serve as a haunting reminder of the enduring allure of mystery amidst wealth and power. In memory of those affected, local artists created a mural overlooking the hills, depicting intertwined faces symbolizing unity and resilience. A plaque reads, "To honor truth and transparency, may we strive to build a world free from fear." Echoes of the Bel Air. Blackmail linger in quiet corners, a testament to the fragile boundary between trust and betrayal. As the sun sets over the hills, casting golden light across sprawling estates, one can almost hear the whispers of secrets long buried, but never truly forgotten. Story 11. The Hollywood Forever Curse. In the spring of 1964, Hollywood Forever Cemetery, a historic resting place for some of Tinseltown's most iconic figures, became the site of a chilling mystery. 3 caretakers, tasked with maintaining the grounds, vanished without explanation over the course of 6 months. Their disappearances coincided with strange phenomena reported by visitors. Flickering lights near mausoleums, disembodied voices echoing through crypts, and ghostly apparitions drifting among headstones. Detective James Harper, known for his methodical approach and unshakable curiosity, was assigned to the case. Harper began by reviewing employee records, uncovering a pattern linking the missing caretakers. All three had been hired recently, drawn to the cemetery by unusually high wages offered during a renovation project. Rumors swirled that the funding came from an anonymous donor seeking to restore neglected sections of the grounds. One clue stood out: a journal belonging to the first missing caretaker, Thomas Grayson. Its pages detailed eerie encounters with shadowy figures late at night, as well as descriptions of cryptic symbols carved into certain tombstones. "They're watching me," he wrote in one entry. "I can feel their eyes even when I'm alone." Harper also interviewed locals who claimed the cemetery was haunted long before the vanishings. Stories circulated about a cursed plot where a silent film star named Evelyn Blackwood was buried after her untimely death in 1923. According to legend, anyone who disturbed her grave would suffer misfortune or worse. As Harper delved deeper, he uncovered evidence suggesting foul play beyond supernatural folklore. Security footage revealed unauthorized access to restricted areas of the cemetery, particularly around Evelyn Blackwood's mausoleum. Tools left behind suggested someone had been tampering with the structure, possibly searching for something hidden within. Further investigation led Harper to Victor Kane, a historian specializing in early Hollywood scandals. Kane admitted conducting research on Evelyn Blackwood, claiming she had possessed a priceless artifact rumored to grant immortality. "It said she hid it somewhere on the ground before her death," Kane explained, "but no one knows exactly where." Kane also revealed that he had hired the caretakers under false pretenses, offering them bonuses to dig discreetly around specific grave sites. When questioned further, he confessed to orchestrating the disappearances, not directly but indirectly, by placing them in harm's way. "I didn't think it would go this far," he stammered. "I just wanted answers." Armed with this information, Harper organized a search of Evelyn Blackwood's mausoleum. Inside, they discovered a hidden compartment containing a locket engraved with the initials EB. Forensic analysis revealed traces of arsenic inside, confirming theories that Evelyn had died under suspicious circumstances. The artifact sparked debates about whether its supposed powers were real or merely symbolic of humanity's obsession with legacy and immortality. For Harper, solving the Hollywood Forever curse underscored the dangers of greed and ambition, reminding him that history often repeats itself when lessons are ignored. To honor the missing caretakers, local artists created a memorial garden near the cemetery entrance, featuring blooming flowers and benches for reflection. A plaque reads, "In memory of those lost to time, may we cherish life and embrace truth." Visitors still report seeing ghostly figures wandering the grounds, their silhouettes illuminated by moonlight. Some say they hear faint whispers carried by the breeze, echoes of unresolved stories waiting to be told. Story 12, the Santa Anita Scandal. In the fall of 1967, Santa Anita Park, a renowned horse racing venue, became embroiled in scandal when jockey Margaret Lane died under mysterious circumstances following a race. Initially ruled an accident, suspicions arose when two other riders suffered similar fates within weeks. Each victim exhibited signs of poisoning, yet toxicology reports yielded inconclusive results. Detective Sarah Klein, tasked with investigating the deaths, began by examining the victims' connections. All three had competed fiercely for top rankings in the season standings, drawing ire from rivals and gamblers alike. Whispers of sabotage spread through the track, fueled by rumors of fixed races and illegal betting rings operating beneath the grandstands. One lead emerged when Klein reviewed surveillance footage from the stables. Moments before each incident, a hooded figure was seen tampering with equipment used by the victims. Witnesses described the person as slight and quick-moving, disappearing into crowds before anyone could intervene. Klein's breakthrough came when she intercepted communications between bookies and trainers, revealing a conspiracy to eliminate top competitors. At the center of the scheme was Richard Alden, a wealthy gambler with ties to underground syndicates. Alden had orchestrated the attacks to manipulate odds in his favor, ensuring lucrative payouts while eliminating threats to his empire. Further investigation uncovered evidence implicating Victor Kane, a disgraced veterinarian turned stable hand. Kane admitted administering doses of a rare toxin to the victim's gear, claiming he acted under duress. "Alden threatened my family," he confessed. "I didn't have a choice." With overwhelming evidence against Alden, Klein coordinated a raid targeting key suspects, including bookies, trainers, and corrupt officials. Inside Alden's estate, police uncovered stacks of cash, betting slips, and recordings detailing the conspiracy. Alden attempted to flee but was apprehended at the border, his empire crumbling in his absence. Though justice was served, the scandal left lasting scars on the racing community. For Klein, solving the Santa Anita scandal highlighted the pervasive reach of corruption, challenging her faith in redemption and accountability. To honor the victims, local activists established a foundation promoting transparency and ethical practices in sports. Today, visitors to Santa Anita Park report hearing faint hoofbeats echoing across the track, as if the spirits of fallen racers refuse to fade. Others claim to see ghostly figures riding silently toward the finish line, reminders of dreams cut tragically short. As the final chapter closes on these tales of intrigue and deception, we are reminded that Los Angeles, a city defined by its dazzling lights and shadowy corners, is more than just a backdrop for crime. It is a character in its own right. Beneath the glitz of Hollywood marquees, the sun-drenched beaches, and the sprawling hills, lies a labyrinth of secrets waiting to be uncovered. Each story, whether born from greed, betrayal, or obsession, reveals a fragment of the human condition, our capacity for both darkness and light. The detectives who walked these streets sought truth amid chaos, piecing together fragments of lives interrupted too soon. Yet even as justice was served or eluded, the mysteries lingered, refusing to fade completely. Perhaps that is the nature of Los Angeles, a place where answers often lead to more questions, where endings feel less like resolutions and more like pauses in an endless symphony. In the quiet moments when the city sleeps, you might still hear echoes of those untold stories. The faint strains of Isabel Monroe's haunting melody drifting across Santa Monica Pier. The rustle of leaves in Griffith Park whispering warnings to unwary wanderers. Or the soft lapping of waves against Echo Park Lake, carrying memories of those lost beneath its surface. These whispers remind us that every corner holds a tale, every shadow hides a secret, and every heartbeat beats in rhythm with the pulse of the city itself. So tonight, as you close your eyes, imagine yourself walking through those neon-lit streets, standing atop windswept cliffs, or gazing into the depths of moonlit waters. Feel the weight of centuries-old secrets dissolve into the warmth of your blankets, and allow the rhythm of your breath to carry you further from the waking world. For here, in this moment, there is no urgency, only peace. Good night, dear listener. May your dreams take you to places both familiar and unknown, where mysteries unfold at their own pace, and rest comes as naturally as the turning of the earth. Sleep well, and may the echoes of Los Angeles watch over you until morning light.